Bostrom Ministries. Beginning January 2018, Bostrom Ministries engaged in a whole new assignment by entering the airwaves of the world. Don't miss Ken and Mary Bostrom Ministries live.
Welcome to United in His Purpose broadcast, where we reach the lost, teach the found, that we would all become united in His purpose. Amen. You know, we've been teaching on the kings of the divided kingdom. This is part 5 of many episodes. Not really sure how many we're going to have, but this is part 5. And last time we left off with an understanding of the first 72 years of the divided kingdom. Now, we went over Rehoboam, Abijam, Abijah, and Asa, the first 3 kings of Judah. And here we're going to see 7 kings of Israel. We have gone over Jeroboam, and now we're going to come, we did Nadab, and now we're going to start with Baasha. Now, it was Israel's 3rd king, his 3rd king. The son of Ahiah, and his name means wicked. Why would somebody name their son Wicked? I mean, when you're thinking of your child's name when you're pregnant, are you thinking of wonderful names? Why would you pick a name that means wicked? I don't know. But 1 Kings 15:29, he killed the entire family of Jeroboam as instructed through his servant Ahiah the Shilamite. And this is found in 1 Kings 14:5 through 16. And I'm going to go there. I don't think I'm going to read the whole way. But here, judgment on the entire house of Jeroboam. And Jeroboam had sent his wife, you know, incognito to go see see what the prophet had to say. And in verse 5, now the Lord said to Ahiah, here is the wife of Jeroboam coming to ask you something about her son, for he is sick. Thus you shall say to her, for it will be when she comes that she will pretend to be another woman. And so it was, and that did happen. And verse 7, go tell Jeroboam, thus says the Lord of Israel, because I exalted you from among the people and made you ruler over my people Israel, and tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you. And yet you have not been as my servant David, who kept my commandments and followed me with all his heart to do only what is right in my eyes. But you have done more evil than all who have before you, and you have gone and made yourself other gods and molded images to provoke me to anger, and have cast me behind your back. Therefore, behold, I will bring disaster upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off Jeroboam every male. This is God prophesying through this prophet. I will bring disaster upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off every Jeroboam, every male in Israel, born and free. I will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as one takes away refuge until it is all gone, like throwing out the garbage. The dog shall eat whoever belongs to Jeroboam and dies in the city, and the birds of the air shall eat whoever dies in the field, for the Lord has spoken. Arise therefore and go to your own house. When your feet enter the city, the child will die. Now, and when she got home, the child died. Now, this was God speaking. God, you know what? Every king should fear and tremble before the Lord and follow his ways. Then everything will go well for him, his family, and his nation. A king, when God warned Samuel, don't give him a king. And number one, they're not rejecting you, Samuel. They're rejecting me. we want a king to follow. And they did not want to follow God. They didn't want to follow a prophet. They wanted a king. And God warned them. And, you know, when I was teaching, my husband and I, the other day, Ken had never watched my teaching on hell, the underworld. And I did 3 programs on it. It was, let's see, 296, 297, 298 episodes. You can find them on our YouTube channel. 296, 297, 298. And there is a separate compartment in hell for kings. I hope that sits with you a little. There's a separate compartment in hell, not just because they're wonderful people. There is a worse punishment for kings than for other people who just disobey God. Because when a king's decision, a president, a prime minister, you know, a ruler like that causes the entire nation to either come to God or go away from God. And Baasha had the responsibility of fulfilling that prophecy. He killed the entire family. He killed let's see, 1 Kings 15:28. Baasha assassinated, struck down, and another one here. It was a border war with Judah during the reign of Asa. And he reigned 24 years. And this is found in 1 Kings 15. In 1 Kings 15, you have like 4 or 5 different kings you're talking about. And he committed evil in the eternal eyes, walking in the way of Jeroboam. There's several different kings that it says, walking in the way of Jeroboam. Even if Jeroboam is dead, even if his lineage is dead, even if his children and grandchildren are dead, the spirit that was behind Jeroboam to cancel the God culture in 10 tribes still existed. And so basically what it's saying is that same spirit was at work then. Here's the next king, Elah, and this is Israel's 4th king. He's the son of Baasha. His name means oak, and you can find out about that here. He reigned only 2 years. His reign was very, very short. He was assassinated by Zimri, one of Eli's officials, on the 27th year of the reign of King Asa of Judah. And Zimri, one of his officials who had command of his chariots, plotted against him. Elah was in Tisra at the time, getting drunk in the home of Arza, the man in charge of the palace of Tisra. It kind of struck me when I said Arza because it's my grandfather's middle name, Charles Arza Brown, and he was a Charlie Brown, and they called him Charlie. And so here he was drunk. At this time, Tisra was the capital city of Israel, and he was drunk, and one of his main people killed him, absolutely assassinated him. Several different people, kings, have been assassinated. Now here's the fifth king. His name is Zimri. His name means my music. In 1 Kings 16:11, as soon as Zimri became king and gained the power of the throne, he killed every male in Baasha's family. In Baasha's family. No family or friend or servant were left to challenge, just as the Eternal had said in his message against Baasha through prophet Jehu. And then Zimri actually died by suicide. He set his house on fire. He only reigned 1 week. 1 week. You have kings that reign for 41 years, 40 years, 22 years. This king, Zimri, reigned 1 week. And I want to read to you the message of God. And this is I'm going to read it to you from the voice translation. from 1 Kings 16, 1 through 4. The Eternal's message came to Zehu, Hanani's, against Baasha. Eternal One, I gave you an amazing opportunity, Baasha. I lifted you up from the dirt to the ground and appointed you to lead my people Israel, as you have been foolish and have embraced the same path as Jeroboam and have caused my people to live in sinful lives. You have provoked my wrath against their wickedness. Therefore I will devour you and will serve you, and all belong to you. I will do as your house and what, let's see. I will devour and serve you and belong to all who devour and belong to you. I will do to your house as I do to the house of Jeroboam, Nebat's son. The hungry dogs will devour the remains of all who belong to you if they die within the city walls. The birds of the sky will swoop down and eat up the remains of those who belong to you if they die in the fields. And so he absolutely did. He was, for 1 week, he was really busy. He became king. First thing he did was kill all Baasha's family, all his any siblings, his children, his grandchildren, his servants, anyone who was loyal to him. He wiped them out. And then he saw his city became under siege in Tisra. And so he thought they were going to kill him, so he decided to kill himself. And he committed suicide by lighting the palace on fire. That was an amazing prophecy from that man. Next we have Israel's 6th king, Omri. His name means pupil of Jehovah. The 10 tribes of Israel split between Abri and Tibri. Tibri means intelligent. And there was a power struggle. There was a real power struggle between those two, Abri and Tibri. And neither one of them, Tibni's name means intelligent. So I don't know how intelligent he was, but that was what his name meant. But there was such a power struggle that King Omri, during the power struggle, he decided to merge his family with Tyre and marry his son Ahab to Jezebel. Yes, he is the one that introduced Jezebel into God's land. So Tibri died, and Omri gained power and reigned for 12 years. Now I'm just going to look at my notes here a minute. And so this is where we really start getting into what happens in a nation that leaves God. And here we have Israel's 7th king, Ahab. This is where we start the paradigm. If you've ever looked at Rabbi Jonathan Cahn's book, it's called The Paradigm. And the paradigm, I'm going to read the back of the book. It says, this must be the most explosive and amazing thing you've ever read. Is it possible that there exists an ancient master blueprint that holds a secret behind the events of our times? Could this blueprint tie behind the rise and falls of leaders and governments? Could events that took place nearly 3,000 years ago be determining the course of our world and with the course of our lives? Could ancient figures from the Middle East hold the key to the leaders of our own day, which they do when they rise and when they fall? Is it possible that this ancient paradigm has determined not only the events of modern time, but also their timing, even down to the exact dates? And he brings it out in here. Could a mystery from the ancient Middle East be foretold the outcomes of current events more accurately than any poll or expert? even the outcome of presidential elections? Has this mystery ever touched the events of your life? Does this paradigm reveal what will take place in the future? And does it contain a warning critical for every person of this generation? Prepare to be stunned, shocked, illuminated, and amazed. A paradigm will reveal secrets and mysteries taking place all around you and show you things never could have been imagined. That is found in this paradigm, and it starts with King Ahab. With the reign of King Ahab, it's going to really mirror one of the presidents in our land. And so that's where we're coming. And in his notes here, Jonathan Cahn said, in the paradigm, I explained how the culture war was inaugurated with the rise of King Ahab, but we know him as Ahab. He's divided, he's compromised, he knows God, and he wars with him. He is the first king in Israel's history to champion the worship of Baal, meaning child sacrifice, and sexual immorality, and overturning of biblical values. And so here is another thing Jonathan Cahn says, now I just want you to remember what Ecclesiastes 1:9 says. History merely repeats itself. What has been will be again. There comes a time in history where you can take, and Perry Stone is very good at this, his revelation of taking what's happening in our current time and bringing it back as a mirror to what you can see in the Bible, what to do and what not to do. Those I have a friend, partner in Tennessee. Her grandson Jacob got 100 in his history test today. And I sent him a congratulations because Jacob got 100 in his history test in his new school. And I said, you know, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And that's what the Bible is all about. The Bible is, in Corinthians, it says, all of these things that are written in the Old Testament were written for us, for those who live at the end of the days. And so here, let's read what Jonathan Cahn had to say. It is written that sons of Issachar knew the times and that they knew what Israel should do. Elijah knew the times in which he lived, thus he knew what he was to do. Paul knew the times in which he lived, and thus he fulfilled his calling. It is therefore crucial that the body of Christ know the times in which it exists, and that it might know what they are to do. It's crucial. And that's taken from the paradigm. You know, Ecclesiastes in chapter 3 says, there's a time for everything under heaven. A time to reap, sow, there's a time to reap. There's a time to live, a time to die. There's a time to, there's time for everything under heaven. And if you can understand cycles and seasons, it will keep you in the rhythm of God. You know, if you don't understand the seasons, planting seasons, and you try to plant watermelon in the winter, you're not going to have any crop, especially if you live in my home state, which was Minnesota, and you're not going to have much of a crop. So now we're going to enter a new God. Up until this time, they were worshiping God, but they were worshiping him at an altar. And they weren't worshiping him like God told them to do. And as a nation departed from God, things that were in the closet were now tolerated, established, and enforced. Now let's look at that word closet, because they used it for coming out of the closet to say they believe they're homosexual, But they don't want everybody to know about it because it will be shamed. And so this was a time that there has been homosexuality way back to Sodom. That's how sodomy got its name, was from Sodom because of the male prostitutes. And so here we have things that had been in the closet. Now they were, number one, tolerated. Then they were accepted. Then they were established. And then they were enforced. And this is where we're coming now, is the time, you know, we have been in the last, I don't know how many years, because like I said, homosexuality has been in for ever since Sodom, way back there. But it's mainly been in the closet. Like Liberace never came out and just started bragging that he was gay. But everybody kind of looked at him and thought, I wonder if he's gay. And so, you know, it's kind of a closet thing. But then it became tolerated. Once you tolerate something, it's like, well, that's okay. I understand it if that's how you are. You know, just, you know, I'm going to tolerate. I'm not going to join in with you, but I'm going to tolerate it. And then it became accepted. It's part of our culture. It's accepted. You know, right now I'm filming in Houston, and there was a gay mayor that, and she wanted to do this bathroom bill where men can come into women's bathroom. And, you know, you have for male, and you have one for female, and you have one for family, you know, and so family would be the place that I would think that you would, you know, the other choice between male and female. And so, because it was a private bathroom. And so here we have her, and so some of the the churches in town got very, very, very upset with her. And they started speaking about it in their sermons. And what she did is she subpoenaed the sermons of 5 preachers. Actually, I can't remember if it was 7 or 5 preachers. And so they rose up, the entire nation rose up between the sermons being subpoenaed, and they were able to overcome it. And, you know, there actually is a bill in Texas now that pastors' sermons, notes cannot be subpoenaed. And so and then it would be established. It would be kind of, you know, it would be established. It would be, and then it would be enforced. And that's where we're getting to, is the hate bills. And so it seems like they want to accuse you of hating what they do, but they really hate you for not accepting it. And that's where we find there was a baker in Colorado that he was sued because he wouldn't make a wedding cake for a homosexual couple. And that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. So then he went back, and then they send a transgender in there who wants to change their gender because it's a confused generation. And they wanted a pink cake with a blue frosting. And so, and he said no, but you know what? He won't make a cake for Halloween either. He just is a Christian, a very strong Christian, and he has his values. Now he's being sued again, and now it's going to go back to Supreme Court. And so it's enforced now. It's enforced. And these things, once a nation has departed from God, it continues. Things that are in the closet, I'm going to say this again, things that are in closet were now tolerated, number 1, accepted, number 2, established, number 3, and now we're in the 4th and final phase of enforced. And so here, Queen Jezebel, who was the daughter of Ethbaal, which means with Baal. Ethbaal was a priest of Ashtart. he was actually not only just a king, but he was a priest of the Queen of Heaven. Now, he was actually an usurper, because if he wanted power, he would take another nation and he would kill the king and then gain the power of that entire nation by killing kings. And he was actually a very evil man, but he was a very powerful man. And that's when Omri, who was the father of Ahab, he said, I want more power. I am going to make a covenant with his family, with Ethbaal's family. And so he married his son Ahab with Queen Jezebel. And Jezebel is a name that goes all the way into the book of Revelation, because there's a Jezebel spirit that comes with Jezebel. It's not just the person. She may die, but her spirit lives on. Baal was believed by the Canaanites to be the god of war, the lord of the sky, master of wind, lightning, rain, and storms. Now, you know, with these kings, God would send prophets to every single one of them. I have a chart here that shows all the prophets. My chart is really well used. It's just full of notes all over it, highlighted. But every single king had a prophet that God would send to help him. And God intended for, you know, if you're going to have a king, I'm going to send a prophet that will help him, to keep him on in line. And here we had prophet Elijah. Now, Elijah came, the first thing that Elijah did is he said, we're going to stop the rain. Let me see if I can find that really quick here. 17, verse 1. And Elijah the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead said to Ahab, as the Lord of God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall be no dew nor rain these years except for my word. And so he stopped the rain. He said, if you're going to worship the God that you think you're going to sacrifice your children to him, see, that Baal demanded a sacrifice. And he said, if you think he's going to give you rain, no, I'm going to stop the rain. My God is bigger than your God, and he can stop the rain. My God is bigger than your Baal, and if you think he's going to give you rain, my God will stop it, because my God is the God of the heavens. Nothing is impossible for my God. Don't you ever forget that. Nothing is impossible for my God. See you next time. God bless.